Hi guys, it's dinokang again, and today I'm going to be talking about the very famous keto diet. So anyways, if you haven't watched my video previously on how to attain and maintain a caloric deficit, I really suggest you watch that video before this one because I'm going to be referencing a deficit quite a fair bit here. Okay, so I've included the link in the description below, and of course don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so that you know when the next juicy video is going to drop. Okay, so let's start off. Firstly, what exactly is keto? Okay, so if you have seen my Insta stories, it's actually a better breakdown of in text, more clearly like where it comes from, the history and whatever. So over this video I'm gonna make it really brief, and basically it's going to be really dumbed down. So I'm summarizing everything in one video lah. Okay, so keto is basically just low carbing. Okay, low carbing means you're eating very few carbohydrates, very little carbohydrates. So I won't bore you with the scientific terminology of like ketosis or what converts to what. Just think of the keto diet as you're eating very little carbs in your diet. So it's basically, just cutting out the common carb sources like rice, noodles, pasta, bread, your usual go-to staples, and also any drinks that contain sugar or whatever. So basically you're trying to reduce your carbohydrate intake. Okay, so next up, why is it so popular? So there are two main reasons, right? Okay, so the first reason is basically just because people don't know what they don't know. So it's a classic case of just the blind leading the blind. So it is usually like, hey, my friends say that keto works, so you should try it. Okay, so people who don't know any better, general auntie uncle, office ladies, office uncle, people just want free advice, but they want good advice. Then they will ask a lot of questions, but they won't do, the kind. They are just looking for the easiest shortcut in everything. Cannot eat this, cannot eat that. Then eat what? That kind lah. So um I mean, it's very popular because it's very attractive to people looking for shortcuts. So if you tell them like, hey, I never eat rice for 3 days, my weight dropped by 1 kg, then your friend also, wow, you dropped weight so fast hey, I also try leh. Then they try, they see the weight drop, then they share it again. So it's the blind leading the blind. That's the first reason why this is so popular. It's not because that keto diet is actually super effective in terms of fat loss or weight loss. Okay, the second reason is actually a scientific fact that keto diet, like going keto and switching up from your normal eating diets, normal eating habits, like compared to usually you eat rice, then when you go keto you don't eat rice, you will see a very quick drop in weight but not fat, because basically going keto will actually cause you to lose weight very quickly at the start, and it's basically just water weight. Why is that so? So basically the very simple science that I can present to you is that carbohydrates, think of them as sponges. Okay, so each gram of carbohydrate you're consuming will be holding on to another 3 grams of water. So if you're eating 200 grams of rice, it's going to have about 50 grams of carbs. That 50 grams of carbs is going to hold on to another 150 grams of water. So that bowl of rice is literally gonna, make you 200 grams heavier. That's the rough idea, whereby if you eat more carbs, like 100 grams of carbs, 200 grams of carbs, drink some sugary water, you can easily gain half a kg to 1 kg and above lah. So it doesn't mean that you gain any fat. So on the flip side, if you are switching up your diet from eating rice every day to zero rice, you are going to see your weight dive. It's not that you lost any fat, it's just that you're losing water. Okay, hence you're lighter on the scale. Okay, so similarly you can take a look at my Insta stories where I sort of presented that in a clearer way lah. I'm just giving you the short version over here. Okay, yeah, so your carbs are like sponges. Once you stop eating the sponges, there will be nothing to soak up the water, so your weight will fly down for a while because you're losing water. Okay, these are the two main reasons. Okay, the blind leading the blind, and you will lose weight quickly at the start, but not fat. Okay, it's just water weight. Okay, number 3. Let's talk a little bit about true fat loss, like actual fat loss, which is, that's the only thing that is really important if you are looking at it long term. And it's not the weight that you're concerned with, right? The weight on the weighing scale is just a number. So if I just had a heavy meal, I drank some water, I'm going to see 1 or 2 kg increase. Similarly, if I take a dump, I take a piss, I'm gonna see like a drop in 1 kg. It does not mean that you lost any fat that you can pinch. It doesn't mean that you lost anything. Okay, so like the fat, the adipose tissue that you're carrying is what we are trying to reduce. That's the fat that we are trying to lose. So like obesity, okay, we know obesity is a problem. The problem is not the number on the scale that tells you you're obese, just like BMI. Okay, BMI, the body mass indicator, or body mass index, sorry, is a very, very poor way of measuring your health risk, so to speak. But as I mentioned in my previous video, in terms of the caloric deficit, like the BMI is a poor indicator because the number is just a number. The weighing scale just shows you a number. It just shows you what you're carrying. If you're carrying a bag and you stand on a weighing scale, you're going to be heavier. Same with the food. The food is going to be in your stomach. It doesn't really matter. The carbs are just sponges that you're carrying on that contribute to the weight. It doesn't matter. The important thing that you're looking for will always be the actual fat loss. Okay, so now let's just very quickly agree on one thing, one very simple thing. The only way to lose fat naturally, lose fat, not just lose weight, lose fat naturally, is to be in a caloric deficit. Okay, caloric deficit. Okay, technically it actually means starving yourself. Okay, physiologically speaking, not giving your body the full maintenance calories. So what I mean by starving, right, before you guys start to argue, oh, that's not starving. Okay, before, for example, you need 2,500 calories today as your maintenance. So by eating 2,500, your weight will not go up, will not go down. So if you are eating 2,300 calories, it means that you are kind of depriving your body of that 200 calories, which puts you in a deficit. Okay, it sounds very scary. Oh my god, I'm starving myself, I shouldn't be in deficit. Okay, think of it from the other way. Every single day when you overeat or you eat in a surplus, let's say you need 2,500, you are eating 3,000, you are in a surplus of 500, right? In the same sense where I'm saying that you are starving yourself, in this case, when you are in a surplus, you are actually stuffing yourself. You are forcing your body to overeat. But nobody bats an eye, like overeat, we just, oh, it's okay, I overeat 500 calories, or it's okay, I'll just pay it off tomorrow. But when we eat in deficit, people start arguing, oh my god, I'm starving myself, I'm going to starvation mode, oh my god, no, I can't go in a deficit, no, it's not sustainable, it's a caloric deficit is the only way to lose fat naturally. It's just that it takes quite a bit of time. Okay, so yeah, it really bases on what your body needs, and being in a deficit means just that you're eating less than what you need lah. Okay, so that's the only way to actually lose fat, which brings me back to the labels of how we view this eating more, eating less thing in our culture, our society, and even our own behavior, right? Whereby from where I'm from, you are not allowed to be not full. Like you have to be 110% full throughout the day. You can't be hungry. Once you're hungry, oh my god, something is wrong. Eat, you have to eat. Once you feel a little bit peckish or a bit hungry, oh, it's time for tea and biscuits. Or like if you take a long bus ride for like 6 hours, oh my god, we gotta stock up, man, we gotta stock up, if not you're gonna get hungry on the bus. No, you only need to eat what your body needs. Means, dude, hunger is a perception. Okay, it's a feeling. It comes from I'm not going to discuss so much about how your hormones move up and down. Most of the time when we overeat, it's because of your bad eating habits. Like I'm sitting on the bus 5 hours, nothing to do. What's the first thing you think of? Eat. You have nothing to do, you start looking for food, and then you end up overeating. But our culture doesn't see that as a problem. We see that as something to be encouraged. Oh my god, my kid is hungry, gotta feed, gotta feed, gotta feed. Dude, you can be hungry, it's fine. Okay, the number at the end of the day matters more. If you're feeling hungry and you're hitting your calories, your weight is not going to go down. You are not starving. Stop thinking that, oh my god, I'm starving. You are not starving most of the time. And on the flip side, like I said, when you overeat, you don't feel as bad, because we are sort of like brought up in this culture, at least from where I'm from, Singapore, where like there's no control over, like it should be seen as a bad thing to overeat, just like how it is seen as a bad thing to not have enough food. Okay, there should be an equal weightage to that. Okay, back to keto diet, right? Okay, a caloric deficit at the end of the day is going to take precedence over whether or not you're eating fats or carbs or protein, whatever, for energy. Okay, so whether or not you're going into keto or just eating normally, you are still going to lose weight if you are in a caloric deficit. Like I mentioned, you can check out my previous video on caloric deficit. Okay, so basically, what's the big deal about keto, and what are some of the factors that make it actually like quite different lah? So these are the factors that we don't really talk about or don't really notice, that are actually happening when you actually transit from a normal diet and trying to go into a keto diet. Okay, so I have 3 important points for you guys. The first one would be the food volume. So check out my Insta story on the post that I've actually made. Basically, 1 gram of, I'm just going to share some basic nutrition info here. 1 gram of carbohydrate is going to carry 4 calories. Okay, and then 1 gram of fat is going to have 9 calories. So for basically 1 gram of fat, the same food weight, right, is going to have 2.25 times the energy content, which basically it translates to, it is much easier to overeat when you are switching your carbs to fat. Okay, for example, if you are eating oilier foods, so let's say you don't eat your rice, you take out the rice, instead of eating chicken breast, you eat a very fried chicken. The oil content and the fat content can easily make up for the calories of the rice that you forwent. Yeah, the oilier food can easily overshoot the amount of calories that you didn't eat. Okay, which makes it kind of a problem if you are still trying to limit your calories. That's the small problem that you may start to feel, because your food volume, first point, food volume, is not going to be as much as you think. Taking out the rice, you don't actually get to eat a lot more of fat. Okay, let's say you take out 1 bowl of rice, maybe 200 grams of rice. That's about 50 grams of carbs. If you're taking 50 grams of carbs, that is 200 calories, right? 200 calories of carbs, that is only about 20 grams of fat, 21 grams of fat. 21 grams of fat versus 50 grams of carb. You are taking out 1 entire bowl of rice, right? Okay, 20 grams of fats, maybe 1 salmon and a little bit, like 1 salmon fillet and a little bit more. Just that amount of fat. Compared to chicken breast and rice, you change that to salmon. So like the oil adds up quite a bit, while the volume, you may think that rice and chicken breast actually more filling compared to salmon. Okay, that like if you are to compare the same amount lah. Okay, yes, I'm aware of the other school of thought about dietary fat keeping you satiated, but in this case, not really. In terms of food volume, not really. Okay, like I said, I don't want to touch too much about the perception of hunger influenced by leptin and ghrelin too much. But in general, if you're going keto, the food volume isn't going to be a lot. Okay, yeah. Number 2, athletic performance is going to be affected, or very likely to be affected, if you're actually transiting from eating a lot of rice, a lot of carbohydrate, to suddenly, just eating oils and fats and fattier stuff without any carbohydrates. I won't get too scientific on this again, but the simple way to think of it is your carbs your carbs basically is the primary source of energy. That means that if you are going to be doing anything, like anything physical, your carbs are the first line of defense in terms of providing energy. Okay, your fats are the second or third line, depending on how depending on the activity lah. So let's say you're an athlete, or you're playing football, or you're gymming. Okay, if you are low carbing, your performance in the gym is going to be affected, because you simply don't your primary source of energy is impaired. Right? And so that's the second reason whereby it may not be a good idea lah. Okay, the condition whereby you can low carb is actually, well, if you are unfit and you haven't trained before, or you have plenty of body fat to begin with, then yeah, it's going to be fine. Okay, then lastly would be good fats and bad fats. When you're actually going keto, right, you do want to take note of what kind of fats you're having. Okay, just purely from a health perspective. Okay, eating a lot more fat, especially bad fats like saturated fat, trans fat, can be really bad for your cardiovascular health, which means that it's bad for your heart. Okay, so a general rule of thumb is this: when you're like looking for good fats and bad fats, right, try to have more polyunsaturated fatty acids, so PUFA. So that's basically your omega-3s. And your omega-3s are your DHA, EPA, and what's the other one? ALA. So ALA is from plants, DHA and EPA is from fish oil, whatever, liver. Okay, so the second kind of good fats will be your monounsaturated fatty acids. So like your nuts, your avocado, the kind that are generally known for good for heart health lah. So these are your kind of your good fats lah. Okay, try to limit your saturated fat intake. You don't have to cut it out completely, but try to limit it. And for your trans fat intake, definitely try to minimize it. Okay, my fifth point, the fifth item is that if you're going to be eating fattier stuff, there's going to be more meat in there likely. Okay, definitely don't eat any burnt meats when it's completely charred. If it's black, it's carcinogenic. Okay, it's cancer causing. Don't eat that black part. I know it's damn nice. The burnt ends is damn nice, but that's actually really, really bad for you. Okay, so my last point will be on sustainability. Okay, one way to look at the keto diet, or any kind of diet for that matter, like paleo diet, Atkins diet, whatever diet that you have these days, is that it is just one way of eating. Okay, it's just eating a certain basket of food and limiting your food choices lah. So basically, you're avoiding certain food groups. For example, paleo is like you're eating a caveman diet, so you're avoiding everything else that isn't natural or isn't eaten by our ancestors or cavemen, right? Or like the keto diet. If I'm not wrong, Atkins and keto is very, very similar. There are some small differences, but at the end of the day, the difference here is, let's say keto, you're trying to cut out the carbs. It's not zero carbs, It's not zero carbs. It's just very few carbs that it puts your body in this state called ketosis, which doesn't really matter. Okay, and it's also very, very different from intermittent fasting. Okay, which is like time restricted feeding, like you're eating in a certain time window. Completely different. So whatever the diet that you are looking at, okay, ultimately, if you are looking to lose some actual fat, not just weight, okay, not just water weight on the scale, you still have to take note and focus on the deficit. Means the total amount you're eating matters more. Take a look at my Insta stories. I gave some pretty good examples of why keto diet wouldn't work for you. Okay, but for some people, eating keto can actually, it could work if your basket of food choices put you in a deficit at the end of the day lah. Like if you are someone who really enjoys meat and some veggies, okay, like broccoli and chicken breast, or broccoli and beef, and then you really love that, then you love eating avocados, you are perfectly fine. It's fine. Okay, don't have too much beef, or like you really love salmon, you can have salmon, some chia seeds, some nuts, and drink more water. You're okay. Like generally healthy choices, fatty choices, but healthy choices. okay, whereby your calorie count still stay under your maintenance. You're still in a deficit. You are going to lose weight no matter what you're eating. Okay, I mentioned there are differences between keto and non-keto. Okay, yeah. So yeah, at the end of the day, what's more important to you? The calorie deficit is definitely going to be more important when it comes to you chasing your fat loss goals. Okay, with that, yeah, that's all I have for you this week. Do remember to subscribe to this video and hit the bell button. Okay, so let me know in the comments what you want to hear about next week. Okay,